So in my last video, I was talking about how it would be a really great feature if Valve could add the ability to make map guides for yourself, but it turns out that you actually can make these map guides from yourself and you can share them with people. There's just no way to share them on the workshop right now as I'm making this video. So a few prerequisites for this video. For one, you're gonna need a practice config, which I'm gonna leave in the description. And if you don't know how to make a practice config, all you do is you take what I have in the description, you go to this file path, and so this will all be in the description, but it's important that you go to game CSGO config and then you just drop prac CFG into here. And then the second thing is you're gonna need some kind of text editor. So you can use Notepad++, but VS Code actually works way better because it auto updates when you save. And so I'm gonna show you all this in game. It's gonna make more sense. But so now that you have your practice config in here, let's just load up a map. So I'm gonna do map d mirage. You just load up a map like this. And then once you're in game, you just do exec prac. And then for videos, I have it so that bloom gets disabled on Molotovs, but this is just like a normal practice config. So, you know, you can no clip around, you have infinite money, you can throw infinite nades, all that stuff. And so you're probably wondering why I have my game in windowed mode. And honestly, it just makes the workflow a lot easier if you're gonna be putting in a lot of nades. It just makes it easier because, you know, you don't have to alt tab or anything. So I just have my game in windowed mode. It's fine for now. And so there's two things you gotta remember when you're doing this. For one, you can only put in 100 nodes, which you're gonna see what a node is. It's really easy. You don't need any code knowledge or anything, but you can only put in 100 of them. So that's like 100 line points or like 100, you know, points on the nade that you're making. So when you make a grenade, it'll be 3 nodes. And so you don't have to remember this. It'll just tell you when you're out of nodes in game. It'll show it in the console. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is show you how to draw lines. This is probably like the simplest thing, and honestly, it's kind of the most useless thing, but it'll get our config started. And that's what I want to do here. So before I even show you this though, go ahead and type find annotation and then save these commands for yourself. It'll explain what each command does. You can just copy this and put it in like a text file. So I already did it here, but you can just put it in a text file just so you can like look at it on the side. You know, it doesn't need to be a config, it's just for your convenience. And what I like to do is just take my console and make it so I can see my crosshair, just so I can like see what I'm doing. Okay, there's a lot of things you have to do, but the first thing you have to do when you're in the server, since it's not in my practice config, is sv allow annotations, and then default is false, and then I'll set it to true. And I'll probably add this in my practice config just so you don't have to do this. Okay, so now we want to make a line on the wall. So I'm going to do annotation, create, and then line. And then there's 2 types of annotations. There's ones that spawn on your player, and there's ones that spawn on the wall. And when we go into our text editor, you're gonna see that they're not actually any different. It's just how you're creating them here. So annotation line, surface. And so this is gonna point from your head to where you're looking right now. And then the last thing we need to add for this first dot is new. And okay, nothing is on the screen yet because we just made the first point, but you can see created map annotation 1 out of 100. I don't know if you can up this number. I don't think so. I don't think there's a command for it. Yeah, none of the commands. I think it's just a maximum thing in the game, but I'm sure somebody could find some like cheater way to get around this and upload their stuff. Okay, so now that we've created the new dot, let me just move my mouse over here, and so this is going to be where the new line comes in. And so I'm just going to take the command. I'm just going to hit up on my keyboard, and then I can delete the new, and then as you can see, it'll make a line between these 2 points. Pretty simple. Okay, and so before I create one on the ground, I'm going to show you how this looks in the text editor. So if we go into our game files, it's going to be in game, CSGO, and then annotations. You notice how nothing's here yet? It's because we have to save our annotation. So we're going to do annotation, save, and then I'm just going to call it test. And then you can see here, save 2 annotations to map annotation file, annotations test. And it's right here. And so this is why I like using VS Code. Because it is auto updating when you save in game. And so you can just tab back and forth. Okay, so now there's a bunch of shit everywhere, but don't worry about that. Just see that we made node 0 and node 1. So these are our 2 node points, right? So this is at a certain point in space, and then this is at a certain point in space. And so what you can see is that these points right here, right, these cardinal directions, these are exactly what are in game. So if I do CL show pause 1, these are the same points. I'm not gonna be able to like fly into the same thing, but you can see how they're pretty close, right? 1100 to 1088, 361, they're like, it's just slightly in the wall a little bit, you know, it's like right here. But that's important because sometimes you're gonna wanna like shift things around. and you're gonna have to work in this XYZ coordinate plane. And so if you turn on show pause, you know, you can get an idea for like which way is positive X, negative X, positive Y, Z, etc. So you just got to get used to that. But it's important that you get used to this command. It's annotation load test. So there's going to be a lot of like saving in here. So you like control S here and then you load test and it'll update things. So let's have this like that. And so I'm going to change this position to, let's see. I'm going to change it to, so this is moving along greater in the negative Y direction. So I'm going to make this like negative 400. And then I'm going to bring it back out from the wall a little bit. So like 1200x. Okay, and I'm just going to save this. And then now it's saved on the file, but it's not showing in our game yet. So now we have to do annotation load test. And you can see that it came off the wall to exactly the point that is listed here. And so you're going to have to get creative. Like let's say you wanted to make a box, right? And you wanted this last point to perfectly align. You'd have to make a new point align right at this exact same spot. But since it's pretty easy to see where it is, right, you can just copy that. Okay, so now imagine I want to make a line that's on the ground with me, right? So it's like right in the center of my body. So what I'm going to do is annotation, create, line, and then float. Instead of surface, it's float this time. And then I'm going to start a new one. So this is our third annotation now. And then I'm going to move over here. And I'm just going to delete new. And it'll start from that new line that we created. So now this will be on the ground. And so now this will follow you. And so like, let's say you wanted to do something like spam like your key and have it follow a line with you. What you can do is just do like bind. And I'm just going to pick like this key. And then this is the single quotation marks. And then I'm going to do annotation, create, line, float. And then now as I spam my key, you can see that it follows me, right? But I don't want this, so I'm just going to do a little bit of magic and delete it. Okay, and so there's no like control Z, so I just reloaded from this save state, right? This is like the save state with just 2 here. So the thing that we just made, it got fully deleted. So let me remake that really quick. Okay, so now we have our line back. I'm going to save it. Annotation, save, test. Okay, and so since we're in VS Code, now you can see that there's more things that appeared. So now these are our 2 things right here. And so you can do a few things, like change the title and the description. So I'm just going to do like 0.1 for this first one. And then 0.2, you can have any text that you want here. I'm going to save it, and then I'm going to reload it. And so you can see that now there's text right here. But there's like a few parameters that you can change. Let me see, text face player, let's change that to true for both of them. Text face player. And let's change the fade in distance to like 300 for these titles. So you can just play around with this for all these kind of things, but now you see that it follows me. So like I can say like when you're entry pathing for like the first player, like you want to go here to clear all these angles. Like you can do all that kind of stuff, and you can, you know, maybe have it point at the angles that are of importance, that kind of stuff. So there, you can get pretty creative with this, but this is not as important as the thing I'm going to talk about next, which are the creation of nade guides. Okay, so I'm just going to delete this annotation file and reload it. And so now we're fully clear, and I'm going to get rid of show pause. Okay, so when you want to put a nade into your map, it's important to realize that you can do all of these things individually, but there's a command that adds all 3 of them at once. So it'll add like the destination, it'll add like that circle that you see, not the orange one, there'll be another one, you'll see it. It'll put the standing spot, and it'll put the aiming spot. So this is kind of a hard example, but I'm going to show you how to do a jump throw for the window smoke, the slow one. And I wish that Valve added a feature where you could like hit E on the thing and it would put you in the spot, but the technology just isn't there yet, so Valve, please fix. And that would be very useful for spawn lineups, by the way. But so we're going to make this window smoke. So the first thing I'm going to do is throw the smoke. So I'm holding D and pressing jump throw. This is like the standard window smoke, the slow one. But the point is that this is my last smoke that I threw, and so it lands in that position. And so the game will remember the last grenade that you threw when you make this new grenade lineup thing. And so just remember like the lineup that you want, you're gonna have to know where it is pretty well, because if you throw the grenade and then you fuck up the lineup, it's gonna think that this was the lineup for the grenade that actually hit. So you better be locked in with your grenade lineups when you're making these maps, which I'd hope that you were if you were making a nade map guide. Okay, so bullshit aside, we're gonna make the grenade here. So I'm gonna do annotation, create, and then it's a type called grenade. And then here is our title. So I'm gonna call it slow window smoke. And then I'm gonna do the description, hold D, then jump throw. And then the last part is the text, like where it's gonna show. So I'm gonna do float. And then I'm gonna type face player. Sorry, the console's not big enough. Float face player, and so I'll do this here. And so a bunch of shit just happened. So for one, this will appear on the ground. So slow window smoke, and you can see it just says standing instructions here. And then slow window smoke aim instructions. It's a bit scuffed with this like second thing here, but I'm gonna show you how to edit all that. And you can see that there's this reticle that appears right where you were aiming. And then again, you can see how when I stand here, there's like that target on the ground. And so let me do this jump throw. And so the reason that target is there is because there's this thing that shows up right here, success streak. And then if I do it again, and I'm gonna show you how to change all these and customize them. Okay, success streak, 2 out of 4 guides off. And I'm just gonna do it again 2 more times. You'll see it switches to 3, and then 4, and then it'll reset. Okay, so remember we have to save our annotations. So annotation, save, test. Okay, save 3 annotations. And so this is why I said at the beginning of the video about annotations. These are not one annotation. This is an annotation. This is an annotation. And then the thing that you can't see when you're flying around is the other annotation. So again, that out of our 100, that uses up 3. And so you can create these all on your own, but doing it all at once is much easier. But you can see now that in VS Code, since I deleted everything and now it's all just auto added, right? Because we still have the file open since we saved it. Close this. These are all of our things. So this is good because it'll go away when you're, not standing in it. But I'm just gonna do this really quickly and I'm gonna show you some problems that you might run into. So this is the top mid smoke. I'm just gonna top mid smoke. Okay, it makes top mid smoke, and then also the connector smoke from here is a different lineup. So I'm gonna do connector smoke. Okay, so this doesn't look that bad, but things are starting to get a little cluttered. But this is where shit starts getting really cluttered. So you see how they both align in the same way. So I'm gonna quickly save it here. And then now a bunch of stuff got added. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how to separate all of these so that they don't overlap. I'm gonna also change the color of the second one. And again, you're gonna be able to play around this however you want, customize it however you want. Let's take the connector smoke. And so what I'm gonna do is change the standing location. So standing instructions, I'm just gonna make this text blank. And then now we're looking at our connector smoke. So so the first one is always gonna be the standing instruction. The second one is always gonna be the aim instruction. And then the third one is gonna be the destination location. And so if you mess something up and put a random, character where it shouldn't be, there, I'm gonna save that and try to reload. There's gonna be invalid lines. And so you want to be very careful with the edits that you make. But again, you could just overwrite it like this. Okay, so I'm gonna remove standing instructions from here and I'm just gonna call it con smoke spot. And then for the other one, for the top mid smoke, I'm going to call it top mid smoke spot. Like that, and save it, overwrite. And then I'm gonna reload. Okay, so now you can see there's 2 different pieces of text here now, but I'm gonna move them to be apart. So what we can do here is, let's say we wanted to move the connector smoke one. Do you see here where it says text position offset? This is the offset from the location, right here where you created the smoke. So it's 60Z up. So let's change this to 40 and see what it looks like. Reload. Okay, so now it's 40 away from this origin point of the node right here for the standing spot. And we can move it off maybe this way in the Y direction. I feel like this is gonna fuck something up, but Nope, it just made it like closer to me. But the point is that you can change all of these values pretty easily. And let me change the color here. Let's make this whatever. I think this is going to be yellow. Okay, it's going to be yellow. And then all this other stuff becomes yellow also. And you can do the same thing for the aim instructions. So let's look for, this is the connector smoke. Whoops. This is the connector smoke aim instructions. And so where is it? Where is it? Connector smoke aim instructions right here. So I'm just going to call this con jump throw. I'm going to make the text say jump throw, and then I'm going to move it off to the negative x direction, I think. So negative 20x. Let's see if that... Well, I just moved it that way. See, this is where it starts to get confusing because it's hard to know which way is like left and right and up and down. So I'm going to change that to 0, and then I think it's negative 20. Nope, it's positive 20. God damn it. Let's do positive 25, and then let's move it down a little bit. So 20 there. Sorry, I'm moving kind of fast, but I'm just showing you that you can move all of this stuff around. And so now it's like off to the side, and you can just see that it is a jump throw. Okay, and so all of these are connected. So again, success streak 1 out of 4. I guess I was like standing in a different spot for this top min smoke. I didn't mean to throw it like this, but because you can see how it'll save differently. The game is smart, and it knows which one you're actually trying to throw it for. Right, so the con smoke just hit. And it's a little not smart. You can't really like spam nades and have it work in that way, but you know, it's good enough. It's super good enough. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to show you is how to change these right here. And so for whatever reason, the streak guides are inside the first node and not the aim node. That's just how Valve decided to do it. And so for this connector smoke, since it's a jump throw, I'm going to just put this as true, just so it makes more sense. And then streak limit guides on. Let's change this to like 4. And then let's change streak limit guides off to 4 also and see what that does. So I'm going to save it and I'm going to reload it. And then let's throw this smoke once. Okay, so 1 out of 8. So I'm going to have to throw this 4 more times. So that's the 4th one. Should be landing soon. Okay, and then it's asking me to do it 4 more times. And so again, you can be slightly off. I believe it's as long as it lands in that cone that it's showing there, it'll be counted as a success because smokes are a lot more forgiving. But just keep that in mind when you make a map for this and your smoke has to land in a very specific way. I can't really think of any on Mirage. Maybe this one? Because, you know, there are certain smokes will act in certain ways, right? Like this like waterfall smoke lands and droops out all the way versus like if you had a smoke that landed here, right? It's not going to droop down all the way. It might, only go through that ladder. So it's important to remember that when you're creating the map to include descriptions like this that are helpful for the player so that they understand what the actual difference is. You know, this one's pretty obvious, but some of them might not be so obvious, you know? So yeah, definitely keep that in mind for the future. Okay, and so since we're at the end here, I'm just gonna kind of do a recap. So when you create a grenade node, it'll put all of these things into the map, right? The standing spot, the aiming spot, and the destination. But you can do all of these individually. So let me create a spot here. So annotation, create spot. So like this is the spot like to aim at, right? So like you could have a creative type of you know, like running jump throw, like for example, the window flash or something where, you know, you're lining up kind of like this. This isn't a real nade, but the point is that you're like maybe lining up to this point. It's like a very specific spot and then you run throw. Just, you know, you can imagine if you're this far in the video, you understand what I'm saying. But again, it'll create these like spots around the map. The other options are you can make text and then you can make lines and you can make positions. I don't know if you can make like the destinations because the destinations are linked to the master node and you can see master node ID and then the master node is right here. So it's based on the other IDs. So like this one doesn't have any other links to it, but these are all pointing at the master node. So, you know, you can start getting creative with it. This is pretty much for developers and people who really care about having their stuff saved and wanting to share it with other people. Or if you want to create your own like nade book for yourself, I think Valve, I don't know why it's limited at 100, because that means you can only really save like 33 grenades per map, which if you think about every map and every position on every nade that you could possibly ever throw, there's way more than 33 just on like one side of every map, you know? So, you know, hopefully Valve in the future will increase that limit. I think that would allow for people to just do whatever they want, you know, type shit. But yeah, play around with it. VS Code is free, so, you know, go wild. All right, that's all for this video. Peace.